I couldn't agree more with Rachel Held Evans that storytelling is one of humanity's greatest tools for survival. Counselors and neuroscientists tell us that shaping a narrative from our own experiences and connecting it to a greater one builds empathy, gives us purpose, and fosters well-being. Evans writes that every time we retell the stories of God's faithfulness, whether it's around a candlelit Seder table or under a big red revival tent, we remind ourselves and others that if God could make a way for Moses and the Hebrew slaves, for Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad, for the grandma living on Social Security, for the alcoholic celebrating 20 years sober, or for the pregnant woman battling anxiety, then maybe, just maybe, God can make a way for us too. You see, all of our stories of deliverance matter. Your story matters. I encourage you to spend some time this week reflecting. Try to recall a time when God has shown up for you. How have you felt God's presence in your own life, in big ways and in small ways? What stories give you hope? What Bible story inspires you? For me, the stories of deliverance in the Bible, they don't just inspire, they stretch me. Stories like the freeing of the Israelites in Egypt, bringing the poor widow and her son oil and flour to make a small life-saving meal, Esther asking the king for mercy for her people, or Jesus stepping in for the woman caught in adultery and healing the blind, the sick, and the broken. These stories often challenge me because they remind me that God has a clear preference for the underdog, defending the defenseless, championing the suffering. And in my own pretty comfortable life, I've rarely been a true underdog. I'm reminded that deliverance is not just personal, it's communal. And that's why we need to listen to the stories of all people. Not just the stories that make us feel good, but especially to the stories that make us uncomfortable. To the stories of people who we don't fully understand, or maybe people we are less comfortable around. God's deliverance isn't reserved for a chosen few. It's for everyone. And it's so breathtakingly beautiful that I don't want to miss any of it. In our church, we say that through the spiritual practice of evangelism, we seek, name, and celebrate Jesus' loving presence in the stories of all people, and then we invite everyone to more. Did you catch that? We seek, name, and celebrate, and then we invite. That's why how we listen matters. When we listen to the stories of those who are marginalized, those who have faced unimaginable challenges, and even challenges that we don't fully grasp, we begin to trace what Rachel Held Evans calls that crimson thread of justice running through the pages of Scripture and through the lives of people today. Now, that's not always easy or comfortable. It's hard and it's messy work. I don't always get this all right. I make mistakes and I'm still learning. But sometimes that invitation to get uncomfortable and wrestle with things is a deliverance we very much need. So here's my invitation. Recall your story. How has God delivered you? What stories keep you going? And then listen. Listen deeply to the stories of others, especially to those who come from places you don't understand. Because as Rachel writes, how we harness the power of stories, whether for good or evil, oppression or liberation, changes everything. Deliverance is not just something we receive. It's something we're invited to witness, to celebrate, and to share. So, be delivered, be loved. Let's keep telling the stories of God's faithfulness and love together.